Let's talk about this big Bitcoin spot ETF decision that may be announced today, as soon as today. Booyah Interactive just approved another $5 million purchase of Bitcoin and Ether. Okay, seems tame compared to MicroStrategy's like 100 million purchase, right? Not every company could do that, but still, more and more are adding to their balance sheet. And more will be adding when spot Bitcoin ETF gets approved. So today, we have another deadline. The second deadline for ARK Invest 21 shares Bitcoin ETF is 8/13, which is on a Sunday. Okay, so they're not going to be making a decision on Sunday. But if they do want to approve or deny, they could do it today. So we will see what the SEC does. They ignored the first deadline. Okay, so now we're at a second deadline. And if they ignore it again, we have to wait until November. But the interesting thing is, you look at the remaining 7, they're all like within 1 day of each other, basically, right? ARK's is a couple months ahead. So really, this will set the tone, okay? If ARK gets their Bitcoin ETF, basically the 7 afterwards are going to get approved, right? There's just no reason why. They're from companies that are even bigger than ARK, much bigger than ARK, including BlackRock. But it'll be interesting because if ARK somehow gets denied, then those other companies still have time to refile, to maybe make little changes. For example, they all had to refile because they needed to name a surveillance partner, and they have named Coinbase a surveillance partner. Now, all of them use Coinbase as surveillance partner, right? Unless the SEC comes back and says, well, we don't trust Coinbase as a surveillance partner. Well, then maybe everyone have to look at something else, but there's no better company that can do that, right? But we'll see. Today, if somehow, in a shocking move, we do get an approval from the SEC, I mean, Bitcoin's going to jump to like 50,000 today, okay, if we get approval. But I don't think we will. I think there's a slim to zero chance. And most likely, we will have to wait until January 10th before we get that answer. And I think that answer is going to be yes. All the insiders are saying it's going to be yes. But Elon, everyone's been asking, like, is this still on? What's going on? Both of these guys keep, I don't know how you say it now. It's not tweets anymore. It's like zeets, right? Zeets. And I don't know what you call it on Threads. But these guys are posting pictures of themselves training hard, right? And Elon decided to announce this. The fight will be managed by my and Zuck's foundations, not UFC. We know Dana White has been kind of all over the place saying that, you know, he's going to try to do this in UFC, and he's talking to both of them, but now it's confirmed it's not going to be it's not going to be with the UFC, excuse me. It's both of their foundations. Live stream will be on this platform and Meta, so it's going to be dual streamed, okay? And everything in camera frame will be ancient Rome, so nothing modern at all. I've heard rumors that they're going to fight in the Coliseum, right? And he didn't confirm it, but I think it's pretty much going to be inside Coliseum. I mean, he's talking about ancient Rome, right? And then he's like talking about Prime Minister of Italy and Minister of Culture. They have agreed on a epic location. Where else could it be? Of course, it's going to be in the Coliseum. How fitting would that be? And then he goes on and says, everything done will pay respect to the past and present of Italy. All proceeds go to veterans. Interesting. So yeah. So it's definitely on. No date, though. No date announced. Are they going to be training for a full year? Or maybe they're ready. I don't know. There's a lot of people. I know this has nothing to do with crypto, but it's just fascinating, right? But here's how they compare to each other. Elon is over a decade older than Mark, but he certainly has the height and size advantage, so he's going to have a longer reach. I didn't know Mark Zuckerberg was only 5'7", 155 pounds. He's a small dude, but he's looking pretty buff in his pictures. Elon is a big dude, 6'1", 230 pounds. combat style hostile takeover, special moves, the walrus versus the meta kick. That's quite funny. But Mark has the youth and I guess more experience. He's been fighting for a much longer time, but Elon is just a much bigger person. So we'll see how this goes. Are they putting their companies on the line? No. People are saying they should bet their company or they could shut down their company if they lose. I don't know. But I do know this will be the most watched fight in human history. I don't think there's ever been a fight like this since the Roman times. But looking at technicals, Bitcoin is also looking pretty wild on a 3-day time frame. Bitcoin has just formed a golden cross. Okay, golden cross traditionally is very, very bullish, right? And we're talking about traditional cross, golden cross, death cross. We're using the 50 moving average and a 200 moving average, and it has just crossed above, right? Obviously, when we had that death cross, it wasn't good, right? When we stayed and dropped pretty low, probably more so than we should have, mostly because of all the collapses, the black swans that happened, the FTXs, right? Like that. If we didn't have all those, it probably would not have been as bad. But regardless, we have climbed up, we have formed a golden cross, so Bitcoin is ready to rock, right? Here's another indicator. This is the MACD on the monthly scale, and you can clearly see that it has flipped into the green, and whenever that happens, that's pretty darn good. That's pretty darn good. So from a technical standpoint, Bitcoin is also looking very, very good. Here's another one, a bullish broadening wedge, right? Just look at what happened in 2014 and 2017, and then what happened afterwards. Bitcoin went from a low of $160 to $20,000. Okay, think about it, $160 to $20,000. You do the math. So our low in 2023 or 2022 was like 15,000, right? So where is it going to go? 15,000 to 200,000, 250,000, 500,000 by the end of the cycle. It's going to happen, and we're right there, not too far away, right? So that's why. And fundamentals of Bitcoin has never been better, right? I've talked about how all these purchases behind the scene today. We had another approval for 5 million from Booyah, right? But a lot of these guys are just buying. Balance on exchanges at a 5-year low, and will continue to drop, especially with those spot Bitcoin ETFs being improved. Those companies like BlackRock, Valkyrie, Bitwise, ARK, they have to buy a ton of Bitcoin to be able to offer those shares, right? So this will continue to drop, and the number of hold coins will continue to rise at an increasing rate, right? Supply and demand, it's really that simple.